Hello, all Urban Rivals fans, to the 11th or 12th edition, I don't even know more, of You Are Talk, where I'll be discussing with Sliffy
Hi.
all the brand new cards from yesterday, in fact. But firstly, before we talk about the new cards, let us talk about Dudley Ld. Now, we did briefly touch on the legendary cards 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately, well, we didn't actually have those cards back then. But now, actually, I managed to get the card, as well as, well, not really Sliffy, he didn't get one, unfortunately.
Sorry.
But there you go. So, Sliffy, now that we've seen Dudley and everything, and seen him kind of in play, I suppose, how do you think Dudley fares now?
I don't own Dudley, but I've played against Dudley once or twice before, and my opinion of Dudley has changed positively. I think Dudley is a better card than I thought before. His 7 power is nice, and it's hard to think against because of his SOB. But his defeat really plays into the equation. The reason why I like Dudley a little more than, let's say, like a card like Sea-Wing, and of course I understand the star difference, is that against a card, let's say Sea-Wing, you assume it's going to be defeat. If you take the defeat, you'll take 2, and that's okay. And if you don't take the defeat, you'll just take 3. There's not a big bunch of a difference. Against a card like Dudley, you don't want to take the 5 damage. If you lose against Dudley, you take a big amount of damage. If you don't lose against Dudley, you're going to use a lot of pills and still take 2. It's a lose-lose situation at the end of the day. So my opinion of Dudley has changed positively.
Okay. I have to agree with that. I mean, the damage, his damage plus the kind of defeat is not very nice to face, I suppose. I mean, there's nothing that... I mean, the problem with Sea-Wing was that most of the time people just thought he was going to bluff. And so yeah, I mean, so people would just basically put 2 pills on it, and so it wouldn't really matter so much. But now with Dudley, I mean, you've got the SOB kind of coverage with him, as well as the 7 power, which is pretty solid, and the 5 damage. I mean, there's no reason why opponents wouldn't want to kind of go, hold on a minute, what are we going to do here? Am I going to attack or do nothing? But I think the problem, though, is with him, I can imagine people just playing DRs against him. I don't know about you. I mean, yeah. Go on.
2 things. One, I agree. Nightmare is like one of the best clans against DRs in the game. So.
Oh, okay, yeah. Good point, yeah.
Just say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've got Glorg and, they've got loads of shizzle against it,
Yep.
Okay, right. So, I mean, what's your rating now of Dudley? Now that we've kind of gone over him a little bit, I suppose.
I don't remember what I gave him before. I think it was the same thing, but I think I'll give him.
You gave him an 8, I think. So.
If I give him 8 before, I give him an 8 now. Maybe 8.5, but probably 8 now still. The reason being, he doesn't beat El Shitsune anyway. Shitsune's still amazing. But a debatable card to use if you need a second 4-star instead of Glorg. Of course, some people will still use Glorg because of his full stop ability, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think he now provides another option that people can use, and he's become one of the more solid 4-stars, probably the second most solid 4-star possible for Nightmare.
I'm just gonna make a point here, Asgroff. Every time we mention the 4-star Nightmare, you never mention Asgroff. I feel,
Because I only mention good cards, I'm sorry.
Oh, ouch, right here.
I've merely stated.
Well, I know, I do like my Asgroff. I mean, recently I got back into him, but, I don't think he replaces Asgroff, that's just my opinion on things. Glorg, maybe. I also do use Glorg as well from time to time. I've stopped kind of using him now just because it's not... I mean, his power is just 6. I don't know. That's just me anyway. Unfortunately, this card will never replace Oshitsune because Oshitsune is just uber.
Too good?
He's too good, yeah. Unless you are released like a ton of SOA cards, in which case I'll be like, I hold my hands high going, I'm sorry I ever questioned you, But I think, yeah, I mean, he's still a good card for the 4-star. I mean, you can probably put 3 4-stars maybe into your deck, perhaps. I don't know, maybe that's a bad idea, actually.
Probably.
Yeah, I think actually maybe like 2 4-stars in your deck then, and it isn't so bad for a half deck for Nightmare. I still like his defeat and everything. That's still nice, as well as the damage and everything, blah, blah, blah. He's still pretty good, so I'll give him an 8 out of 10 as well. All right, so let us move on to the first card of the new release that came out yesterday, and that is Pyro for the Freaks. Pyro at 4 stars it has the stats of 7/5 with the ability of recover 1 pill out of 2. So, Sliffy, what was your initial thoughts when you saw Pyro?
I was Pyro. And so, Pyro has solid 7 power, solid 5 damage, which is always nice for a 4-star freaks. Of course, her main attraction is her defeat ability, and the freaks always want to get their poison out. And when you play, if you lead with Pyro, your opponent will start thinking, "What do I want to overly play against this thing? If I beat it, then I lose a lot of pills. And they get his pills back. If I don't beat it and he's blocking, that I just took 5 damage and I'm poisoned." And that's the reason why, as we mentioned before, she's a little bit better than Sabuya, is because of that threatening 5 damage.
Yeah, I think, obviously the great thing about it is the defeat plus the poison is great. As we said, earlier, and as you just said, really, I mean, the Siblia has only 1 damage, poison's too slow. Unlike Pyro, has its poison is quite fast, as well as with the defeat as well. It's just a horrible card to face. I think in testing of her, I mean, my opponent just didn't really know what to do against her, I suppose. I mean, most of them they either kind of played like 2 pills or something, expecting a bluff, or they kind of just went all out at about 6 pills plus to try and beat the Pyro, in which case I was able to get the pill advantage into the next round. I think the only problem though with Pyro is, I think the problem is with defeat, it is sometimes a double-edged sword, really, and I think if your opponent could then try and if he hits hard in the first round with their card, and maybe try and set up a 2-hit KO, I can see Pyro kind of being less effective as a result. I don't know about you. Yeah.
I agree. The problem, my main beef with Pyro is completely playstyle. In that, if you overly pill with Pyro, try to get that 5 you make at a huge disadvantage. Because don't forget, if you lose with defeat, you don't get anything back. Or if you win with defeat, you get nothing back. So, if you use, like, say, 7 pills with Pyro, hope your opponent will beat that, and he uses 0, you're probably going to lose now. So you gotta think while playing still.
Okay. I mean, like, there's nothing really more to say about it, really. It's a good card, obviously. So, I mean, let's go straight to the ratings, I suppose. So, firstly, before we say anything, actually, what about the competition between the 4 stars? Do you think that Pyro replaces any of the 4-star freaks in any way?
In my opinion, I don't think she beats Bogan. I don't think he's way too good. He has solid for SOA. He's for any freaks deck. But after that, completely opinion. Some people use Grudge over her, and there's nothing wrong with that. And some people use Pyro over Grudge, and that's also fine. It's all based on playstyle.
Okay. I have to agree with that. I mean, like, I think she replaces Wolfgang. Grudge, I don't really like playing with Grudge for some reason. I don't know. It's just me. I kind of overpill with him a bit. But definitely, I would definitely say Bogdan definitely beats her, unfortunately. But then that's expected. I mean, SOA, it's all kind of very strong card, Bogdan, I suppose. So yeah. Let's go to the ratings then. So out of 10, what would you give Pyro?
I give Pyro an 8 out of 10. I think she has, some solid power, 5 solid damage, a good ability. Free poison is always nice, and as I said, she doesn't beat any card. She can the game anyway, but she's a more than usable 4-star for the freaks.
Okay then. I mean, I would disagree with you there. I mean, 8 out of 10 seems like a fair rating for her, I suppose, and yeah. Alright, let's move on to the second card, and that was, it will come to me, Rodney, and Rodney at 3 stars for the Jungo is a 7/3 with the ability of plus 10 attack. So, Sliffy, what was your initial thoughts on Rodney?
My initial thoughts of Rodney were very positive, or not as positive as they were now, which is very positive. He has 7 solid power, which is always nice for the Jungle. They're known for their solidness. 3 damage is ignorable because of the Jungle bonus. Of course, against SOB, he's not as impressive, but he's still very playable. Of course, his main feature is his attack plus 10. Attack manipulation is always great for a clan that does not have any kind of support in their bonus. As I've mentioned before, I think he's basically just a Mindy, but 1 more star and 2 more damage. And I'm pretty sure Mindy is basically a staple 2-star in the jungle, excluding Peng, of course. So, of course, Rodney is just an upgrade of her. He's a very good card as well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, the great thing about Rodney is just the countering against the those attack manipulator clans, I suppose. The problem is with the jungle, I find, is I mean, a lot of the time when they used to get all their kind of 5-star bans, their 3-stars really did suffer against attack manipulation as a result. I think, for example, I mean, like, Radic is okay against attack manipulation, but then Scorpio is really bad. Peng kind of just gets absolutely kind of just overrun, I suppose, by it. And I suppose Ong is hurt a little bit against it. That's just my opinion, really. I mean, like, they had really to counter against attack manipulation perfectly was Azkai as well as Mindy, but they didn't really have any kind of like mid-star options in order to counter it. I think that's my kind of thoughts on it, really. All right, then. So let's go straight into the rating then. So out of 10, what would you give Rodney, Sliffy?
Hate to be that guy who keeps being consistent, but I think he's basically an 8 out of 10. He's probably, in my opinion, the second best 3-star jungle in their roster currently. Radic, of course, number 1. The attack manipulation is very nice. Lets them fight against uppers, rescue, Montana, etc., without being at either a huge disadvantage or while giving him a small advantage. 7 solid power is always nice. Lets them fight against SOB and SOA without being too hurt. And 3 damage is excusable. Of course, only SOB would really shake that up. But even with against SOB, 3 damage isn't terrible. So with stats like that, 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, it's just a good card, I suppose. In competition to Scorpio and Radic, I think Radic, of course, kind of like beats everything. He's pretty good. He's pretty good, but Scorpio, I don't think is as good. I mean, as I think we didn't really mention though, Scorpio is really bad against attack manipulation plus power manipulation, which is, I think, her kind of huge downfall. Rodney isn't so bad against it as a result. So he's a good kind of counterbalance against that. We didn't really mention Nyema, though. I mean, I think the problem is really I find Nyema kind of a bit hacksy and just based on luck, really. I don't know. That's in my opinion. I think you expressed sort of the same-ish opinion, really, don't you, Sliffy?
I'm not the biggest fan of Nyema due to the fact she has no support and her 7 power isn't amazing without support. But I know a lot of people who like her, so pluses and minuses.
All right then. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I would probably give her an 8 out of 10. As I said, an 8 out of 10. Really, nothing really more to say, really.